Good evening and welcome to yet another awesome session of Mindful Living. We truly appreciate your taking out the time and joining us for the session today. Today's session is a very interesting one because here we are going to see how the challenges we face in our life can be solved, can be addressed with one simple but profound ancient practice. I would request you to keep your cameras on and remain actively engaged in the discussion today, because that is how we are going to derive maximum value from our session today. Thank you, Manojji. As we get started, I would request you to share with me one challenge or more that you or your family members or your friends may be facing. What is it that you hear from your colleagues, friends, family members? What are the challenges? Some of the challenges could be related to finance. A lot of people these days seem to be losing their jobs because of multiple factors. So it could be insecurity, finance, stock market going up. Then if stock market goes up, then people worry that, oh, I sold out early, now it has gone up. If I would have stayed invested, I would have made more money. So whether market is going up or down, there is always a reason for people to get worried about that. Relationships at workplace could also be a source of stress, or could our health be our health or the health of our near and dear ones. So what is it that you are either you are experiencing yourself or your family friends are experiencing? You may unmute yourself and share, or you can type in the chat. And yes, Manojji.
So Ashish, recently it is more of, I will not say job security, but uncertainty with the things those are happening across the industry, where people or the companies take decision um, for on people's job basically, or recruiting or firing employee. Uh, so the concern is not like that. The concern is more from an employee might have been a resource for a decade or half or something like that. But one day, with all the automations and the things those are changing in the world now, um, sometimes companies are asking people to leave.
Yeah.
So I know that people need to be a continuous learning journey, but still that is uncertainty where people often see risk, and that's somehow how to, I not how to cope up with that, but that is uncertainty really is not who is going to lose the job. So it is people are losing jobs, so we don't know how it is and when it is or whose turn it comes. I know you had shared your story earlier, but just I thought of you started with that event, so yeah.
Thank you for sharing that, Manojji, and that is a very real concern. And I completely agree with you. It is not only loss of job, but uncertainty about loss of job, which can seriously dent our ability to think and function. So thank you for sharing that. It's only Manojji who has shared a concern. Others have not. So I'm just curious to know what is it that brings you to this session, because if there are no challenges, then how can we use mindfulness to solve that challenge? So I would like to spend a couple of seconds more here to see what is it that you or someone may be facing with.
So Ashish, on the same line, right? What Manojji said, like it's not
Okay.
uncertainty, but out stagnancy in job. Maybe like you are looking for a growth, which is something you are not able to like get it. So how do we overcome that, and what should we do like basically to achieve that basic? How, because you're aspiring for a next level, and maybe I don't know. There are multiple reasons. There might be something that you need to do. There are things which are beyond your control, but obviously you can do something which is in your control, so that
Okay.
you can grow in your career. Basically. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. That's another very pertinent one, Dharmesh. Thank you for sharing that. Um, what else is coming up? Friends, I would really like to hear from each one of you facing dear one with depression. Okay. Because only when I hear from you will we be able to get more meaning out of this session. This is not a podcast. This is a highly interactive session. So please share. Only 3 people out of 11 have shared. I'm curious to know, if you don't have a challenge, then what is it your intention in joining the session?
And
Hi
sir, one
Ashish.
more.
Yes.
Oh,
Sorry,
hi
you can
Ashish.
continue.
Yeah,
Yeah,
one
thank
person.
you.
Maybe you could raise your hand using the reactions button so that we can take one by one.
So, hi Ashish.
Hi.
The way we are living our life every day, there is so much anxiety, so much depression, so much panic attack, and I think I want to learn about mindfulness so I can apply it. I can control all these emotions,
All
and
right.
I want to be a better person. That's why, personally, professionally, both. And I think that's why I joined the session.
Thank you.
That's
Thank you
everything
very
I
much.
have.
Thank you very much for sharing that, Vaishali. And I really encourage each one of you to participate actively in the session. We are a small group today, and it is only by participating and sharing your challenges and stories we will get to make the most out of the next 60 odd minutes that we have together. I'll also be sharing my stories. So let's keep it interactive and go forward. What comes to your mind when you see this picture? What is special about Swiss knife? This should be relatively simple to answer.
Multitasking.
Multitasking, okay. One thing for many applications, okay. What else?
So a lot of options are there.
A lot of options are there. Okay, thank you, Jagdeep.
And
Anything else?
all
Anybody?
Multi-purpose, sir.
Multi-purpose. Okay.
Multi-purpose.
Yeah. So, the Swiss knife is a very versatile tool. This one knife, if you have got, this was actually invented for the use of army. If you have this one knife, there are multiple things that you can do with it. You can open your food cans, you can, undo your rifles, and so many other things. So, it's very useful to carry. And similarly, mindfulness is a very versatile tool which we can keep in our pocket, literally, figuratively, and use it whenever we face a challenge in our life. So that is what the objective of our session today is. What is understanding what is mindfulness? What are its components, which is the different parts of the Swiss knife? Burst some myths about mindfulness. A lot of people think that mindfulness is something which we should take up only when we become a senior citizen and retire. It's not for young people. So we'll see some of those busts and we'll see how it can help us navigate with the challenges. Please keep coming up with the challenges. It's only then we will be able to really apply this to the challenge that you're facing. Otherwise, this could be a theory lecture, which it is not. And we will also be doing a practice of mindfulness. Like you can't learn swimming about by hearing about it or just reading books about it. The same way about mindfulness, we will practice it to see what it is, and then I'll share one or two techniques with you which you can use to incorporate mindfulness into your daily lives without requiring any additional time. A lot of busy corporate professionals come to me and they say, Ashish, what is this mindfulness? We don't have time. We already have a packed schedule. Where will we fit mindfulness? So you don't have to make out additional time within your schedule. You can incorporate this. And if there is something which resonates, you can clap, show love, show thumbs up, so that I know that this is making sense to you. Yes, Jagdeep. Srividya.
Yeah. So as you were trying to understand the challenges, and also my challenge is, when we are sitting calm and in a undisturbed environment, we always feel that yes, our emotions are in control. However, when we end up in a little bit of argumentative, or somebody really reacts to us for certain things, we also tend to react. So that's my challenge, to how to keep the emotions under control and balanced, maybe.
All right.
Thank you.
I think that's a very good one. Thank you for sharing that, Jagdeep. Srividya.
Yeah, yeah.
So I resonate with all of them that, they talked about the challenges, but I have a query that, when you face any kind of challenges, the effects being, you don't get proper sleep, you wake up tired, you are not in a energy mood, you get angry. So all the repercussions come. So will that be treated with mindfulness? Because all those are bound to happen if something goes wrong, or, when something becomes very challenging, the side effects start showing up.
Sure. Thank you for sharing that, Srividya. If this does not get addressed by the end of the session, please do pick it up once again.
Sure. Thank you.
Thank you, Srividya. Yes, Dharmesh?
Yeah, sir, but I think the challenge I face as a being a parent, right? So obviously in current scenario, I think a lot of times you try to control your anger, but it's difficult to like in the current generation as the children are so like demanding. Lot of times, then you lost your cool. So how do we keep our control, like anger in control, and then obviously tackle those challenges that we face being a parent in this generation?
Thank you. Thank you very much for sharing that. This will get addressed, Dharmesh, and we will talk about it. Thank you for bringing this up. So on that, we move forward. And this practice of mindfulness will definitely improve your quality of life. That's my guarantee. And as you practice it, you will also resonate with this. For those of you who may be attending our session for the first time or are watching the recording, let me take a minute to introduce myself. My name is Ashish Kumar, and I'm the founder of Mindful Living. We started Mindful Living in 2020 when the first COVID lockdown took place, to help my friends deal with the stress and anxiety that the lockdown was causing. And we got a very good response from the community. So we have continued with our weekly sessions since then. We have a YouTube channel whose link we'll be sharing in the chat. So please look up the 200 plus sessions that we have got on our YouTube channel and benefit from them. I'm a certified mindfulness meditation teacher by education. I'm an MBA from SIBM Pune, a cost accountant, and a fellow of Life Management Institute. So that's in brief about me. We are a small group today. I'll request everybody to keep your camera on and stay actively engaged by using the reactions button, show appreciation, use raise hand function to ask any questions or make any comment, and let's stay engaged. I would request you next 60 minutes, please keep your phones silent or switched off so that you can get the maximum out of this session. There may be some things which you agree with, there may be some things which you disagree with, something you may be hearing for the first time, something which you may already know. But whatever it is, like a gold miner, when he goes to dig for gold, he is only focused on getting those gold nuggets. Like that, I request you to stay focused on finding that golden nugget, which can completely transform your life. This is a very, very powerful session, and for sure, you will find solutions to the challenges you have, whether you have stated them or not stated them, when you learn about and practice mindfulness. So on that note, let's get started by understanding what is mindfulness. Mindfulness is an ancient practice which was started by Buddha 2,500 years ago. And this has stood the test of the time. The fact that we are still talking about mindfulness shows how relevant it is. Buddha was a king, but in spite of having all the riches and comforts, he did not have the peace of mind. And this is what many of us today have. We have all the resources, but we don't have the peace of mind. So how, by practicing mindfulness, can we have the peace of mind, become happy, healthy, stress-free, and thrive in our life, is what we're going to talk today. I had the privilege of learning mindfulness from Sri Satyanarayan Goenka ji, whose picture is on the top right. He's considered to be one of the foremost meditation teachers in the world. And I got certified as a teacher by Sean Fargo, who lives in California. So that's in brief about mindfulness and its history. It's become immensely popular. It's being taught across the business schools. There are thousands of books which have been written on mindfulness, and it's on the cover of Times magazine. Billionaires have taken to this practice. Bill Gates does it, Oprah Winfrey does it. Many CEOs practice mindfulness, and because they have benefited so much from it, they have introduced in their organizations, and it has got very solid record of helping companies increase their productivity, profitability, and share price. This is Mark Bertolini, who was the CEO of Aetna, and he had a very terrible accident where his neck and shoulder spine got fractured, and so much so the pain was unbearable, and he was put on opioids. And opioids are very depressive, so it came to a stage where he wanted to take his own life. And then, at the suggestion of his wife, he tried yoga and meditation, which completely transformed his life. His his pain did not go away, but his ability to deal with the pain, went up many times. And I have used the screenshots of the books that they have written, so you can take screenshots of this, and you can check out their stories. There are multiple books I'm going to talk about as I go through. This is my research, and whatever I'm sharing with you today is basis the research that I have done, and I'm sharing the resources by sharing these book covers with you. So he practiced and he benefited from it. So, and then he introduced, once you benefit from something, you want to share it with everybody. Like I have benefited a lot from practicing mindfulness, so I'm sharing this with all of you. Similarly, he shared it with the 52,000 of his Aetna employees, and 13,000 Aetna employees underwent either a yoga or a meditation session, and the impact that it had on the share price, profitability, and productivity is reflected here. Many of the 70, more than 70% of the Fortune 500 companies now have mindfulness as a part of their L&D and OD perspective, of their OD programs. And so let us understand why practice mindfulness. You would have got some idea about how it helps, but just to put this in words, it helps you reduce stress, makes you healthier, happier, helps you regulate your emotions better. Someone, Dharmesh, was talking about managing anger, sleep. Srividya was talking about sleep, communicating better, becoming a better leader, and it is also anti-aging. So there are many benefits. These are very well researched and very well documented. You can go and check it. And rather than check out the research, I would urge you to practice it and then know it for yourself. But there is always a lingering question. It may work for Bill Gates, it may work for Oprah Winfrey, it may work for Mark Bertolini, but will it work for me? These are the questions which I often hear from people, that mindfulness is not easy. Yeah, it is not easy because it requires focusing of our mind, but it is like a skill. Like we learn cycling or we learn writing ABCD. With practice, we can keep getting better. So what is important is that we continuously practice. And one question that I often get asked is, how long should we practice mindfulness? And my response is, it is not how long you should practice, but how consistently are you practicing. Even if you're practicing for 1 minute, but every day, that is better than practicing for 1 hour in one day and then not doing it for the next 30 days. So consistency is very important, and it is not a pill that you can pop. So this is not a pill. With constant practice, you can rewire your brain, and then it results in sustainable benefits of happiness. Once I was standing outside, I was just waiting to start my session, and I was outside the hall where the session was, and one of the people was standing outside. I just waved to him that, why don't you come in? And he said something very interesting. I could not have not been able to forget that. And he said that, mindfulness means emptying your mind. And, if I come inside, I'll have to empty my mind, and then I'll lose everything that I have got. So, friends, mindfulness does not mean you need to empty your mind. It is just observing your thoughts. And we will see that as we go along. It does not even mean controlling your mind. It just means observing your mind. And last but not the least, it is not escapism. It is not. You may find that people who are mindful may not really get drawn in with the petty affairs, but that does not mean they are escaping. It is whatever I share, and I do these sessions for leadership level in organizations, large corporations, for the board members. And believe you me, it is not for escapism. It is for becoming more authentic, more powerful, more productive, happier, and so many other things. So escapism is something which few people might have, but that's not what I talk about. And I'll quickly pause here to see if you have any questions or comments, or if you are good to go. If this is if you're good to go, please type GTG in the chat. Otherwise, raise your hand and happy to take your question or comment. Thank you for sharing that insight, Manojji. Pain is inevitable, suffering is a choice. Good to go. All right. So friends, I'll keep checking on you with you. So stay engaged and keep sharing your response. Now let's look at the definition of mindfulness, which has been given to us by Dr. John Kabat-Zinn. Dr. John Kabat-Zinn is from Massachusetts General Hospital, and he says, and this is, I really love this definition. It's very simple but very profound. It says keeping one's complete attention to the experience on a moment-to-moment basis in an open and non-judgmental way. If it sounds like English, it is okay. We are in the next 60 minutes or 50 minutes. We're going to dive deep into each of these components. And at the end of the session, I'll pull this definition again for you to see whether it makes sense now or not. So there are 5 components of mindfulness, which is first is attention. This is the foundation of mindfulness. Then it's awareness, acceptance, no identification, and choice. This is what we're going to talk about in the next 50 odd minutes. But before I delve deep into each of these sessions, I'll invite you for a brief 10-minute practice of mindfulness. So you will be able to relate what I am sharing about these 5 components to the practice we have done. So once again, I'll request you to keep your cameras on and sit comfortably wherever you are. If you're sitting on a chair, please, or otherwise, have your hands on your lap, palms facing upwards. You may close your eyes gently. Sit comfortably with your chin parallel to the ground. Back and neck in a straight line. Straight but not stiff. And bring your entire attention to the area at the entrance of the nostrils. And observe every breath that is coming in and every breath that is moving out. Incoming breath, outgoing breath, incoming breath, outgoing breath. Observe each breath as it is. It may be long or short. Coming in from the left nostril or the right nostril or both the nostrils. Just observe. Do nothing. You're not required to regulate your breath. Just observe every breath as it is coming in, as it is moving out. Continue to breathe. it is possible that you may find that your mind wanders from time to time. Wandering of the mind is not a mistake. It is its nature. So every time you find your mind has wandered away, gently, with compassion, bring it back to focus on the breath again. Continue to breathe. Focusing on breathing is a great way to root our attention to the present. We can't go back to a breath that we have just taken, nor can we go to a breath that we are about to take. One breath at a time. Be in the present. This moment is all that we have got. Past is gone. Future is yet to come. This present moment is all we have got. That is why it is a gift. Every day, we take breathe in about 20 to 25,000 times. Mostly unconsciously. This is your opportunity to breathe consciously and enjoy each breath as it comes in and nourishes you. Breathe in relaxation. Breathe out tiredness. Breathe in peace of mind. Breathe out stress. Breathe in growth. Breathe out stagnation. Breathe in love. Breathe out anger. Continue to breathe. In a couple of seconds from now, we will come to the end of this practice. Continue to breathe consciously. Before we come to the end of this practice, consider setting an intention that this practice of mindfulness helps you and everyone who comes in contact with you. Thank you for practicing mindfulness with me. You may choose to keep your eyes closed for a couple of seconds more. And gently open whenever you are comfortable. And once you're comfortable, you may raise your hand using the reaction button and share how this experience was for you, or type in the chat. Thank you, Sue. Thank you, Dharmesh. Thank you, Jagdeep. Thank you, Bhavna. Thank you, friends. Anybody would like to share? Thank you, Pallavi. So friends, please keep sharing your experiences as we move on.
Fine.
And, thank you, Manoj. And now what we're going to do is in next 30 odd minutes, look at the 5 components of mindfulness, and we will relate our practice to what these 5 components are. As I mentioned earlier, attention training is the foundation of mindfulness. Like we build muscles in the gym, the same way we can train our mind to hold attention or to focus on a particular aspect. Now, left on its own, the mind tends to swing from past to future, rarely staying in the present. In the past, we have all the challenges, all the regrets, all the mistakes that we have made, all the wrongs that somebody may have done for us, to us. And in the future, we have all the anxiety of, what is going to happen to the job, whether I'm going to grow or not, what is going to happen to the economy, how AI is, taking everyone's trip and so on and so forth. But in the present, we are mostly comfortable. We have got a roof on our head, we have got food in our stomach, and we are comfortable, but we are not in the present. We are regretting what happened in the past or worried about what may happen in the future. So training our mind to be in the present. The good news is it can be done with practice. And the challenge is, with all this social media and everything else, our attention spans are going, reducing and becoming less and less. At the start of this century, it was about average attention span was about 12 seconds, and it has reduced to now 8 seconds or maybe even lower, which is even less than what a goldfish can hold its attention for. And the best part, a lot of some of you asked me about growth, and the best part about focusing or paying attention to holding our attention is that our quality of work goes up. Normally, when we talk about quality of work or increasing productivity, the normal response for people is I'll increase the number of hours I work, or I'll increase the number of days I will work, or I'll cut down on my sleep and work more, etc. We rarely talk about increasing the focus to get more productivity. And in this lovely book called Deep Work, you can check out these books, you can make a note of these names. Carl Newport has given us this lovely formula that high quality work produced is a function of two things. Normally we understand the time spent, but it is also the intensity of focus that we bring to the work. One of the things many corporate executives who come to me for coaching talk about is a sense of being overwhelmed, having too much to do in too less a time. And this is the solution. When we build our focus, you will find that your mind is clearer, it is sharper, and you are able to do 12 hours of work in 6 or 8 hours or maybe 10 hours. So this attention training is very, very important. It also helps us deal with stress and anxiety because we are in the present, and all the action that we can do is only in the present. We can't undo what has happened in the past, nor can we do in the future. We can't go into the future and do anything. Whatever has to be done is in the past. So when we stay in the present, and attention training is a way to stay in the present, we can reduce our stress and become happier. There is this amazing book called Flow, written by Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi, and I would strongly recommend that you pick this book up. And he talks about flow. Flow is an optimal state of productivity where you forget what you're doing. आप समय की सुध बुध खो जाते हैं और इतना इन्वॉल्व हो जाते हैं काम में. और Mihai says that this flow happens. The foundation of flow is ability to focus in the present. So when we are focused in the present, we are able to produce at a peak level, at the optimum level, at a very high level. And this this mastery, this productivity, increase in productivity also makes us happier. A distracted mind is a unhappy mind. A focused mind is a happy mind. And when you are able to work in a flow state, you produce miracles. The Dharmesh asked about the growth. So the growth happens when you are focused, and this does not happen overnight, but with a practice, with daily consistent practice, you can increase your focus over a period of time and find that your productivity goes up. And there is one simple technique which I would like to share with all of you, which I practice and many people I know practice, many senior executives practice, which is called Pomodoro, which is working in slots of 25 minutes each. So for 25 minutes, turn off your WhatsApp notifications, turn off your other notifications, and just focus on the task at hand. And this Pomodoro technique of working in focused manner for 25 minutes at a stretch does not increase your productivity by 10 or 20%. It increases your productivity by 100 or 200%. So don't believe me, try it out for yourself and come back. I'm a part of this community. You are a part of this community. I'm not going anywhere. I look forward to hearing your experiences on how you have applied Pomodoro and how it has benefited you. One of the things which I do is I keep a piece of paper along with me. So as as I'm doing some work and some random thought comes, I don't lose it and I don't get distracted by it. So I write it on a piece of paper. That is something that works very, very beautifully for me. So please try Pomodoro. I'll pause here to see if you have any questions or comments, and then we will move on to the next component of mindfulness, which is awareness.
Sir, please explain this 25 minutes time management. Can you explain further?
Your voice is not very clear. It's breaking. Maybe you can type a question in the chat.
Sir, good evening.
Good evening.
May I request you to please? Okay.
Yeah. Go on. I can hear you now.
Please explain this 25 minutes time management technique. Can you explain a little bit
Sure,
further?
Surinderji, I'll do that.
Thank you.
So please, so we can we have slots. You can do. There are clocks. If you go and Google on Pomodoro clock, it will give you a Pomodoro clock, which will get time. Help you time your 25 minutes. And then you can, for those 25 minutes, just pick up one task and be completely focused on that. So if I have to make a proposal or if I have to make a content for a training, I just block myself for 25 minutes. I switch off my WhatsApp notification or put my phone on aeroplane mode, and I completely ensure that I'm not distracted for those 25 minutes. When you do like that, the productivity goes up very much. One of the challenges with getting distracted is that there is a tail of distraction. So every time we get distracted, it takes us 10 to 15 minutes to regain our focus and come back. So when we are undistracted for 25 minutes, our productivity is super, super awesome. Surenderji, has that does that help, or I'm happy to take any follow-up questions? Okay, I don't know about this app, Pallavi, but if it helps, then okay, good. Okay. Is this about Pomodoro?
Yes, sir, this is about Pomodoro.
All right.
It's available free online. You can
Yes. Thank you for sharing that, Pallavi. There are many resources. If you Google on it, it'll help.
Thank you very much for explaining this. So we have to focus for 25 minutes. Thank you.
25 minutes at a
Thank you.
time.
I understand.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yes.
Thank you. Any other questions, comments? Does this make sense to you? Are there any questions about attention? And so someone was asking that we don't have good relationships with children, and it comes to how much attention we are giving. Attention is the best gift we can give to people around us, whether it is your subordinates, whether it is your wife or children. If somebody comes to you and you can listen to them with full attention, that is the best gift that you can give people. So it also helps in building good relationships. Any other questions or comments on attention? Attention is also.
Sir, what you said, that you should give attention, you should have the listening, but it's on from your part. But the second member of the family, he or she should also have the same type of, if you can say, frequency, then it will be possible. Sometimes frequency is not same.
Yeah, no, I agree, and I agree with you, Surenderji. But what I would like to share is, let us control what we can control, and what we can control is ourselves. So let's start with ourselves. And usually my experience is, when we give full attention to the people also reciprocate by giving us attention. Over a period of time, it works out beautifully.
Thank you.
Okay, so in the interest of time, I'm moving on. And we then come to the awareness, which is again a very powerful component. And this awareness means being aware of our thoughts. What am I thinking? What am I feeling? Am I feeling angry? Am I feeling happy? And tuning into ourselves is very powerful, because when I am paying attention to how I'm feeling, I'm becoming aware. So let's take the example of anger. Typically, when we feel angry, our breath becomes shorter. So if we have trained ourselves in mindfulness practice, paying attention to the breath, we will know that our breath is becoming shallow as we are getting angrier. Our heart will pound faster. There is blood that rushes to our face. Our ears become red, face becomes red. A lot of things happen. So if we are aware and tuned in, then we have a better chance of controlling our response rather than react to the situation. So this is very, very powerful, because on the awareness, on our being aware, rests another very powerful component of mindfulness, which is choice. Awareness is the foundation for all the progress we make in our life. If I'm unaware, there is little that I can do. I'll be living my life like a robot, making unconscious choices. Most of the highly successful CEOs and business leaders across the world have a very high level of awareness. This awareness is also about what are my strengths, what are my weaknesses, in which conditions do I perform the best, which conditions I don't, so on and so forth. So this awareness works at multiple levels, thoughts, emotions. And sometimes people come and tell me, Ashish, I'm not very good at being aware. And my response to them is, see, we think we are not good, but actually we all have the ability. And one basic example of that is feeling thirsty or feeling hungry. So we, whenever we are tuned into our body and we feel, or we feel hot, we feel cold. So as we start tuning into our sensations, we start becoming aware of what's happening in our body. That's a very good gateway to start practicing awareness. And talking about eating, talking about hunger, there is another component, another related aspect to that, which is mindful eating. So as I am eating, am I aware how hungry I am, and can I stop eating before I am full, so that I have optimal health. And then it all leads to emotional regulation, which is a very big benefit of being aware. And I'll share with you how this works. Most of the time, the sensations that we have are like waves. They come and pass. And if we just step back and we just observe, they will pass. Most of the time, otherwise what happens is we just yield you to the temptation, we yield to the wave. And then the best part is you step back and let the wave come and go. And I practice this in two very significant ways. One is for giving up my addiction of smoking. By grace of God, I have been smoke free for over 14 years now. 1st of January 2010 is when I quit smoking. And I use the same thing. I would just step back and watch the urge of smoking come and go. So if I don't act on the urge of smoking by lighting a cigarette, the wave just comes and goes. So I knew this fact, and I just practiced it. It happened. And recently, I practiced this to use the same concept to practice fasting. I've always been wanting to fast, but I could never fast. So this retreat I had gone to, which I shared about in the group, I practiced fasting, use the same thing. And I realized that most of the times I am having what is psychological hunger. It's not real hunger, but a psychological hunger. So this awareness, helped me. This also has application in the area of anger management. So when somebody does something, breaks something, shouts at us, we can just step back and observe that the wave of anger is rising, and then we can just step back and let it pass, and then we can choose to respond peacefully. So awareness is big, very powerful, many applications, takes a lot of practice, but is completely worth it. So this is what I just talked about to pause. Another thing is about awareness is awareness of our values. This is something which is not talked about enough. And every time we have stress in our life is because some value is in conflict. So suppose I am, I want career growth, but my I'm working in say PSU. Then PSUs typically, it may have changed now, but typically what happens in a public sector enterprises, you get promoted by virtue of time rather than virtue of your talent. So if I'm in a PSU and want growth, then there may be a conflict and I may be stressed. I may not be happy, or I may want high growth. At the same time, I want high safety. So, that again may create a conflict. Or I may want high growth, which may involve working long hours, but I am also a family-oriented man. Or my family members want more time, family time, or work-life balance, and I want growth. So then there can be a tussle within the family. The spouses will be fighting that you are always in office, you're working weekends, whenever you're home, you're working on your laptop, etc. So, it works at multiple levels. Awareness, values, everything work at multiple levels, starting with ourselves. So first we become aware of ourselves, aware of our values. And when we start becoming aware of our own self, then we are better tuned in to the emotions and values of other people. That is why you find some very successful people, they're almost able to read your mind, and I used to wonder, how can you figure out what I was thinking? That is basis high level of awareness that you've got. When you are completely tuned into yourself, you're completely in skin, in your own skin, then you're able to understand others better. And the third application is in the environment. So you can think it in terms of your spouse, you can think it in terms, so first is myself, second is my spouse, and the third is in-laws. So that is, or I can think of myself, my city, my state, my country. So there are different levels in which this works out. And then, basis the values, we have judgments about people. So if I'm, say, a capitalist, I'll not like anybody who's socialist. Or if I'm a BJP supporter, I'll not like anybody who's supporting AAP, or something like that. If I'm, in many ways it just plays on. And so this is awareness. And another way awareness works is understanding needs and desires. I was able to make this difference a couple of years ago. But 5 years ago, I turned a minimalist. And since then, I have not bought anything new except for on replacement basis. So if my shoes have got torn, I've replaced them with something new. But otherwise, I've not gone on and bought anything new. So that has helped me focus my attention, becoming more aware. Realizing that what I want, is it for me, or is it because society says, like my daughter say, Papa, you're very old fashioned. So, whether I'm going to listen to my daughters, I'm going to choose to I dress smartly. It's not that I'm shabby, but it's just that I don't buy too many clothes. And it can apply in many ways. I don't have a car because I don't feel the need of it, and so on and so forth. So I'll pause here. This brings me to the end of second component, which is awareness. And I'll be happy to hear your questions, comments on awareness. Hi, Richard. Skin is the end of the body, but we are also interconnected. We are not only a body, we also have a mind, we have subconscious mind, which is connected. We may think of, because we only see body, we tend to identify ourselves as body, but we are much beyond the body. We are an entity which is connected. All of us are connected. I don't know if I've answered your question, but yeah. So friends, I'm happy to take any quick questions or comments. We have about 15-20 minutes remaining and a lot to cover. So any quick questions or comments, happy to take. Otherwise, type make sense MS in the chat box and we will move on. Thank you, Sue. Is it making? Thank you, Pallavi. Thank you, Manojji. Okay, thank you, Dharmesh. Very good. If you have any questions, we can take it up towards the end if the time permits. So this is awareness, very powerful component. And the next one is like mind-blowing, completely mind-blowing, which is acceptance. And acceptance is more misunderstood than it is understood. I'll share my interpretation. Everything I'm sharing today is my interpretation. If somebody understands it differently, most welcome. It is accepting my thoughts, emotions, and people as they are. So somebody mentioned about, I think Bhavna mentioned about dealing with somebody who's depressive. Accepting that you're dealing with the person who's depressed. If I'm having depression myself, I was mildly depressive at a point of time. Accepting myself as it is without judging. Giving up on the judgment of myself basis the thoughts I have or the emotions I have, or judging the people, accepting people in my life. And when we start accepting our thoughts, emotions, and people as they are, there literally is magic that happens in our life. It is one of the simplest but most difficult things to do. It takes a lifetime of practice, but as we keep doing this, we keep getting better and better. I would also like to clarify that this does not mean that we necessarily need to happen. Sometimes something wrong happens, and this does not. But it is accepting that this has happened. Like for last 36 hours, we don't have internet connection at our home, and Airtel. We are having a terrible time with Airtel. The guys are not responding. They're saying we are sending engineers, but they're not sending. They're not telling us, how long this problem is going to be there. So I accept it, but I don't agree with this situation. I expect better customer service. But do I fret about it? No, I'll do what I can do, which is, connect for this session on Reliance. So it involves willingness to experience tuning into my feeling, which is, feeling of frustration or whatever else I am having at my Wi-Fi not working, letting go of the, control and taking responsibility for whatever is there. Acceptance does not mean complacency. So whenever I do these sessions for the corporate, one of the questions that come up is, should I accept my stagnation? You may accept it, but do something about it. It is not even being indifferent, and it is not escapism, which I talked about. So acceptance is not a low energy thing. It is a very high energy thing. It is not not being indifferent to your growth. It is not passive resignation, that I'm just accepting this person and I'll not do anything about it. But usually when you start accepting people, things, thoughts, you find that things start getting transformed. And I have this question for you, and I would request you to either raise your hands and share, or type in the chat. Imagine you walk into your home, and everybody in the family is accepting you as you are, uh, be it your parents. So if it is your parents, no expectation of higher marks or whatever mistakes you might have done. Siblings, no fight over property. You accept them as they are. Your spouse accepts you as you are. Your children accept you. Like my daughter say, you are old fashioned, so I accept them as they are. Nobody wants you to change. Everybody accepts you as you are. Please tell me, how would it feel? Take a minute. You walk into your home and everybody accepts you as you are. Ravindra says, I would love it. Okay. Anybody else?
Ashish, can you please turn the slide regarding acceptance?
Okay. Okay.
Thank you.
So imagine you walk into your home and everybody accepts you as you are. Okay. Richard, I hear you. We will discuss. Yeah. No. Right or wrong. There's nothing. We'll discuss. Friends, I need response to this. Just imagine. Okay, then you accept boredom as it is. Okay. My natural feelings will be expressed more. That's very beautiful, Bhavna. Thanks for sharing that. Anybody else? Mind blowing. Yeah, that's completely mind blowing. Okay, then let's extend this further to our workplace and say, imagine you walk into your office on Monday morning and your boss accepts you as you are. Your subordinates accept you as you are. Your colleagues accept you as you are. How would it feel? Please type in the chat. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Srividya says magical. Okay. I completely agree. Nobody wants you to change. Your HR does not want you to change. Your finance guys don't want you to change. Your sales guys. How would it feel? Wonderful, unreal. Okay. I would be happy. Yeah. Okay. This is very, very powerful. So just imagine, thinking about it has made us feel so wonderful, so, magical, so amazing. And imagine if we practice this in our life, how will this happen? Now, the question is, can we extend the same courtesy to others? So can we accept our family members as they are? Can we accept our colleagues as they are? And I'll let you stay with the thought for some time. This is not a quick gun Murugan thing. And think about a person whom you have a great difficulty in accepting. Okay. What would happen if you were to accept him or her as the person is? What would it mean for you? I'll be happy to hear from you. What would it mean accepting a person in your life? Someone once said from certain field, everyone. Yeah, absolutely, Richard. Absolutely, I completely agree with that. That is true. That is true. Yes, Pallavi.
Sir, I have practiced acceptance, and I feel sometimes it's the start of a solution. So if you don't resist the situation, for example, I had this 2 years ago, I had this spondylosis problem, and I used to be a runner and an athlete, and I could not accept, you know. In fact, part of the problem was because I was not accepting it and I was trying to resist it. I used to, strain it more, and it was causing more. And not only that, because of the resistance, I was causing stress. So my neck muscles were actually getting more contracted and making, compounding the whole situation. And I think at some point, I have been reading about mindfulness and all. So at some point, I started realizing that, I said, let us just accept the situation. And, because then I started looking for solutions. I started finding out what are the alternative methods. How can you do physiotherapy? What should be avoided? How can you mitigate the situation by taking, frequent rest? And it was in a way a turning point for me, because every time, whenever I remember, of course, uh, I I realize if you accept a situation, life becomes much more easier, and it opens up possibilities for you, which otherwise it doesn't.
Beautiful, very beautiful and very powerful sharing, Pallavi. Uh, I truly appreciate your sharing that, and see what anybody would like to, share what they picked up from what Pallavi shared with us. It's such a beautiful and powerful sharing. What did you pick up from what Pallavi just shared? Sue says it would improve the relationship. Yes. Accept the situation, understand why the person behaves. Yeah. Anybody else? Very powerful.
Yeah, I personally could relate, because once you accept any kind of condition or situation, you will start looking for solving it. So that
Beautiful.
is something will come only when you accept. Otherwise, you'll be wanting to deny it. You will
Yeah,
never, that is the problem. So that's
absolutely.
100% true. I can resonate. So maybe you will take time to accept. Once you accept, calmness comes, and then you want to find the solution for it, and or how do you tackle it. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that, Shiva. They're very powerful. Thank you. So whatever we resist persists. When we accept things, we have the possibility of working on the solution. So it is important that we let go of the projections that we have of how things should be, how this person should be, how should my health be, how the weather should be. So we just let go of our expectations and trying to control how should my children be, and and accept them as they are. And when we do, like Srivita Pallavi's shared and Srivita shared, the magic starts happening. And this is one very powerful, very nice prayer that I like, which is from Alcoholics Anonymous, which says that God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and wisdom to know the difference. So that is, friends, acceptance for us. And we talk, and there is this book I would like to recommend to each one, the Surrender Experiment, which is the turning point, for me, one of the key milestones in my life when I read this book. In this book, Michael Singer has chronicled his journey of surrendering to what was happening and accepting things as they are, and how it led him from living on a 5-10 acre farm to being the CEO of a company which was valued $1 billion, not today, but about 20 years back. And that 10-acre farm has now become a 600-acre farm, and there is a very large community there. So great things happen when we surrender to the greater power that is there, and when we accept things as they are. And I recommend this book. Check out this story. Moving on, the ego. The next one is ego, the fourth component, which is the labels we put on ourselves. The construct we have. So what do we tell? Who am I? So if you were to, when I was in the corporate sector, I would say I'm a VP or SVP with this company. Or, a housewife would say I'm a housewife, I'm a mother, or I'm a teacher, so on and so forth. But is that what we really are? Are we these labels we put on ourselves, or the roles that we play? And there are like multiple, they're not, possibly it doesn't finish, it's the name I have, and the name itself tells me my religion, it tells you my caste, it tells you my status, my age. So by age, the senior citizen, infant, teenager, preteen, adolescent, young adult, super senior citizen, by hobbies, by caste, by education, which, so there are, by economic philosophy, we talk about region, North Indian, South Indian. There are different labels that we have. And we put these labels on ourselves, and we put these labels on other people also. And this helps us simplify, so when I used to live in Gurgaon, which is in North India, if we are interacting with people from South India, the typical is North Indians to chor hai. Yeah, everybody who's living in North India is a thief or a dacoit. That's the perception people have. So these are there are assumptions that go with these labels. If you're high caste, then you would be like this, or if you're from this region, you would be like this, or if you're capitalist, you would be cruel, if you're a socialist, you would be kind, and so on and so forth. And it does not finish there. Then there are labels about whether I'm fair or dark. And I was talking to somebody who was whose mother really tortured her because she was dark. And mother would say that you don't dress like this, you don't wear these specs, you don't wear this color, this, that. So there is so much of torture which happens because of our color, whether I'm beautiful or ugly. And this beautiful, ugly, even the most beautiful women, those who are acknowledged as the most beautiful women, have this challenge. Or thin or fat, or tall or short, whether I'm achiever or failure. These are the labels we put. And the problem is not the label. The problem is our behavior which this label drives. So if I think I'm a failure, then all my behaviors will be driven by that failure. I'll give you one example. My father is from IIT BHU, and he's no more. But so IIT BHU is, for those who are not from India, is one of the foremost institutions in technical education. And he was very good in maths. And every time I would get my report card from school, you would say you're not done good enough. You're not done good enough. And I believed him in my not being very good in maths. But recently we shifted from Gurgaon to Pune, and while we were shifting, I came up with my school report card, and I found that I was really acing the exams. I was doing very well in my studies, but because my father told me I'm not good in maths, I took commerce rather than going for engineering or science education. So sometimes these labels which people put on us, consciously or unconsciously, drive the trajectory of our career. So it is very important for us to understand these labels which we may be putting on ourselves, others may be putting on ourselves, and we may be putting on other people. So how are you dealing with your children? How are you dealing with your kids? How with your colleagues, with your boss, and things, with your spouse. So just be aware. We're not going to get too much into detail now for this one, but I'll be happy if anybody wants to connect with me offline and have a discussion about how some of these things are playing out in your life. And typically what happens is when we identify with labels, then there is a challenge, so my family versus your family, or my department versus your department, or fear, so the mother may not want daughter do something else. He wants to control the daughter's life, or you want to control, you want to, or you may want more. So if you identify with wealth, I'm a millionaire, then you may want 10 million, or you want to become a billionaire, and then you're working yourself tirelessly in acquiring more and more and more, and then eventually you get burnt out. Or jealousy, he has got this, I have not got this, or not able to accept. There is so much of I think so much about myself, I can't take feedback. Or resistance. So there are many different ways in it plays out. And the question sounds very simple, who am I? But it's a very profound question. So am I the role am I playing? Am I the city I live in? Am I the country I'm an Indian? Am I the country? Or am I the company I work for? Who am I? And when we ask this question, this is a question you should possibly ask yourself daily or multiple times in a day, and see where this inquiry leads you to. This is a question I'm not going to answer for you. Richard mentioned about it a little bit earlier. What is our true nature? If you go up the chat, he will see his comment. I'm not going to talk about it, but you see if this question, who am I, is going to take you to your true nature, which is beyond these labels that I have put on myself. So this is something which we have talked about. So the mindfulness is, you step back and look at these stories and reframe in a manner that it serves you. And there is a beautiful, I'm not going to play this, I'm not going to play this, but this is a very beautiful story about Edison. And he was thrown out of his school, and the teacher sent a note back with him in a sealed envelope, asking Edison to give the envelope to his mother. And mother reads the letter, and the letter teacher has written that your son is confused and he's an idiot. He's so dumb that we can't teach him at school. You keep it at home only. But mother reframes that, and she says that the teacher has said that your son is so intelligent, he's a genius. He's so intelligent that we can't teach him at school, and so you teach him at home. So I'm going to teach you at home. And that is how she teaches. She does homeschooling, and Edison becomes Edison. And once Edison was going through his old papers, and he found this letter which the teacher had given him, and then he reads the letter, and then he realizes what had happened. He sees that the teacher had written that Edison is a dumb kid, confused, and not intelligent. So these labels, dumb, stupid, confused, so that was the label teacher gave us, and the label the mother gave was his genius. Now these labels, are they fact? We tend to take these labels as a fact because our subconscious mind does not have that discrimination capability. Only our conscious mind has that got the capability. So it is important. That is why my request to each one of you is evaluate your labels, keep looking at it, keep looking at them, and choose one that serves you, and be careful about ascribing these labels to other. And that brings us to the last component, which is the most powerful one. And I also realize that we are at the end of the time. Is it okay if we take another 10-15 minutes to talk about choice, or should we close the session here? If it is okay to take extra time, please type ET in the chat box, and we'll take another 10-15 minutes. Type ET if you are comfortable staying on for another 10-15 minutes. Fine. Okay. Fine. ET. Okay. ET. Okay. Okay. So those, sorry, I understand that, Sue, but you can, we will be sharing the recording in the group, so you can check out the recording, or you can check out our YouTube channel. So I'll quickly go through choice, and this is the tool with which we sculpt our life, And there is a very, very powerful story, it's a real life thing, of Viktor Frankl, who was taken to the German concentration camp. And German concentration camps are like, pathetic. They shave your head, no hair, they shave your eyebrows, they take off your clothes, and you only given, they take off your name identity also. You only have a number. So yeah, there is no name, there is only a number with which you are referred to. Then the food you get is like the inmates used to describe the food they used to get like it's a water from sewage. So that bad food, that kind of condition, there are very few people who survived that concentration camp, and Viktor Frankl was one person who survived it. And he could do that by always choosing to stay positive, by reframing what was happening. And he says that everything can be taken away from a man, but one except for one thing, the last of human freedoms, to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances, to choose one's own way. So this is the power that we, each one of us has got to make choices. But most of the times we are making these choices unconsciously. If only we make our choices consciously, then our life will go to the next level. That's the level which we want to take it to. So become conscious of the choices we make. Become conscious of the thoughts we think. Uh, how are we playing out in our life? Are we playing out big, or am I acting small? Am I a victim, or am I a victor? Am I whole, or am I hurt? What are my beliefs? What do I believe about myself? What do I believe about the world? What do I value? Whether I'm good or I'm not good enough? How do I spend my time? I congratulate each one of you for taking out the time for joining this session. You could have been doing anything on this weekend, but you've chosen to invest your time in this session. And you can, if you think it is a good investment of time, please type ROI in the chat box, which will give me an idea that this is a good return on investment of time that you have made. Okay, thank you, Dharmesh. Thank you, Manoj. Thank you, Richard. Uh, Others, only 3-4 have said ROI. Uh, so you have chosen to invest your time in your own development. So that is what will take your life to the next level. How do we choose to spend our money? Are you spending your money consciously or unconsciously? That determines our trajectory, and so on and so forth. There's a very interesting quote which I firmly believe. 5 years from now, you will be the same person except for the books you read or the people you surround yourself with. So, what are you choosing for yourself? What are the actions you are choosing for yourself? And the beauty is you are free. We have the freedom to choose, but we don't have the freedom from the consequences. So whatever action you take will have a consequence. So please think and act consciously. Reflect on the areas where your life may not be going the way you want it to be. Course correct. If you need any assistance, please reach out to me, send me a DM, and I'll schedule a coaching session with you to help you align your actions to your goals. And but this is something which I mentioned about earlier. When it comes to making a choice, pause, respond rather than react, whether it comes to where you're going to invest your time, or where you're going to invest your money, or whom you are going to be with, take. And just one or two more things I'll quickly share before we close. One thing that you can choose, which is very, very powerful, is a mental model, which is an attitude of gratitude. Uh, and when you reframe and look for things to be grateful for in anything, then your life constantly becomes better and better always. So practice gratitude. We will be having sessions on gratitude in the coming month. So stay tuned, be active in the community, and we will talk about that. And the last thing, I promised that we will talk about how to integrate mindfulness into your daily lives, which does not take much time, is to do a very simple practice of paying attention to your breath. And you can do this while you're waiting for an elevator, or you're in a traffic waiting for a red light to become green, or any other time, whatever you're doing, just pay attention to your breath. Breathe in a couple of times consciously. Even if you can breathe for a 1 minute, it will start it will set in motion a very powerful change, which will make sure that your life keeps getting better and better. I'll pause here for you to share or ask any questions before we draw the session to a close. You can raise your hand, ask a question, or type in the chat. What have been your takeaways? What has been your golden nugget from the session today? Thank you, Richard. Thank you, Pallavi. What is your golden nugget from the session today? Thank you, Dharmesh. Sri Vidya is not here, but some of you had mentioned your challenges. Have you got, thank you, Manoj. Uh, thank you, Ravindra. Have you got answers to the challenges that you came with? In case you've got an answer, good. In case you have not got an answer, please DM. Please reach out to me. Most of you have my number, and I'll happy to support you. Thank you, Richard. Accepting others. Thank you. Thank you. All right. All right. So friends, I'll request you to also share about your golden nugget in the Mindful Living WhatsApp group so that others also benefit from this. Thank you, Pallavi. We have a choice. Okay, wisdom to listen and be present. Thank you. Please do share your golden nuggets and takeaways in the Mindful Living group. I once again thank you very much for taking out time and joining us. Have a nice weekend, and we'll connect next weekend. Next weekend, the session will be in the morning. The details will be shared in the group soon. Thank you so much. Thank you, Jagdeep. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Manojji. Thank you, Richard.